All right, here we go. I got to make a phone call. Some of you followed me with the Highland Community College scandal. That's what I call it. Where I start getting reports of people being kicked out because of hairstyles, because of the color of their skin. It was pretty ridiculous. So on January 10th, 2020, I made a video
The same
about
thing.
it. Like
That
a
if you
maybe
look right here in the background, I am at Highland Community College in Highland, Kansas. It's a small town out in the middle of nowhere, but there are some things going on here that uh, that are just really
about
disturbing.
it.
I
Like
need
a
help.
maybe a 12-minute video. I posted a phone number for people to call. And for the next 2 weeks, actually probably 3 weeks, I know 2.5 weeks, my phone did not stop ringing. I was on the phone non-stop for 2.5 weeks. 16 hours a day at least, talking to students, parents, employees, past students, past employees. It was crazy. So it's been a year, and it's probably been almost exactly 1 year since the person I'm getting ready to call called me the first time. So I'm going to call them and we're going to discuss what's happened since and what happened back then. And I'm going to record it so that you all can hear what I heard.
Hello.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm writing yourself.
I'm doing all right. I'm gonna call you parent number 4. That's gonna be your name today.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Hold on, I gotta move some papers out of the way because I don't want any names out there. It's I don't think it's necessary, but just so that we're clear, and I'm recording, by the way. I'm recording in my studio. But
Okay.
um, you are the parent of someone who went to school at Highland Community College in Highland, Kansas, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I know here. I don't even know the best way to do this. I never do it the same for everybody, but I have some questions that I want to ask, but I also have some audio recordings that I want to play because it's been, I think you called me on a Saturday, which I think today would be the 1 year anniversary of when you actually called me, unless you called me the Friday night.
I was actually headed to take my son to his new school when I called you.
You were taking him to his new school. What do you mean by his new school?
Well, he had been expelled.
Okay. He was expelled from Highland and you were taking him to another school.
School. Yes.
Okay. So actually, you called me on January 13th. So the day after tomorrow will be exactly 1 year since we first talked.
Yes.
Uh, wow. It doesn't seem like it's been a year, but it has been because when I did the video, I released that video on January 10th, which was yesterday would have been 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that you know the video that I'm talking about where I was standing in front of Highland Community College in the cold. It was so cold out there. And I made this ridiculous video with these crazy accusations about people being kicked out of school because of their hairstyle or the color of their skin. And you remember that video?
Yes, I remember it pretty well.
Tell me some of the things that you remember about that video.
Well, when I came across the video, we were actually, um, as I say, going down the highway headed to his new school. And as I was listening, because for months I had been trying to find someone with a voice or a platform to, I guess, get the word out about what was happening to the children. And when I came across the video, I started listening, and then I heard specific things that made me know that you were speaking about my child.
So one of the accusations that I had made fit what had happened to your kid.
Yes.
So then you knew that what I was saying was true then.
Yes.
Okay. So you were already getting him to another school, so he would have been removed before January 10th because there were some students that were trying to come back to school.
Well,
when I made the video,
yes, he was removed already from school, and to be quite honest, we wrote to the president and vice president and of student affairs, and I begged him not to send my son back home because it was so much danger in my city concerning the youth. So, and I was like, he's an honor student, he's a good boy. I begged, could he do community service, anything to where he wouldn't have to come home because actually, from the day that they expelled him, he was homeless down there until I was able to go down there that following weekend and pick him up.
When they expelled him, they kicked him off campus and out of his room, out of his dorm and everything, right?
Yes. He had to turn in his keys. His stuff was still locked into his dorm room, so I guess opportune times for them, he had to wait to get in to change clothes and it was frightening for me as a parent because my son has never been away from home, and he had no family there. He had no one to turn to.
And this is a place where just so everybody understands, this is a public school. This is a college. This is where people go to get higher education. And you're telling me he was kicked out of his living space, and I've heard some stories where some students were sleeping outside in the cold. Do you know if your kid ever had to do that, or did he have someone that lived off campus that he could stay with, or did he sleep in his car? Do you know?
He didn't have a car on campus, so he called me crying, and it made me panic. It made me angry. I was crying myself because I could not get to him fast enough. And he was pretty much homeless, but I think someone ended up letting him stay a few days at their place until I was able to get down there that weekend.
So you were willing to make a deal with the school to have him do community service to try to make up for whatever he had done. Like whatever it was he did, you were willing to say, hey, have him do some free work for you all.
Yes, because back home, my son he's accustomed to volunteering. We volunteer in the community. So I'm like, put him to work. He was accused of, and that's what he was expelled for. And I'm like, my kid is not that kid you're describing, but if by chance he did get out of line, by all means, don't take his education from him. Put him to work. Make him work in the community. Make him serve the community that you guys say, that you guys are building there.
Right, because they have a handbook at the college where they have these infractions. They have like a low grade, medium grade, high grade. They don't call it grade, but it's like a low level infraction or whatever. and they have policies that they're supposed to follow. If someone breaks a violation, like a low-level violation, then they might get written up and put on probation. And whatever it was he was accused of was not one of the high level, like a serious violation of anything. And normally what would happen is you might get written up for it and get a warning. But in his case, they kicked him right out of school without any due process. Now, this is my opinion from the stuff that I learned from your kid's case. But there were other students who just happened to be white that committed worse things, and they didn't even get written up. I don't know if you know that, but he was removed for some low-level infraction, but you were willing to have him do work for something that he really did not do. That's my point, is that you would have had him do work, community service, and he would have been an innocent person being punished for something he didn't do. But you were willing to have him do that because you didn't want him coming back home, because where he grew up, it's a dangerous place. Like, people get killed there often.
Yes, so many of the young people were just dropping like flies, and I know my son is beyond this city, and that was the last thing I wanted him to do, was to come back home.
Right, and a lot of people don't understand that there's places in this country where it's like a war, and if you can get out of that area and go to college, it's a major victory for the person, but also the family, because it's a way out and it's a change of life. It can change someone's whole life and your family. I mean, people don't understand how getting out of a rough neighborhood and going to college, how big of a victory that is. And your kid was sent back basically into the war zone because he was accused of, and witnesses that I talked to said it never happened. And I'll probably edit this out because I don't want people knowing who we're talking about, but I'll probably edit this stuff out, some of it. But anyway, he was accused of something that people that I talked to said it didn't happen. And, but you were willing to let him do community service just so he could stay there, which, I understand you would want to do anything for your kid. And it's pretty sad that this school that receives tax dollars would not work with you to help this kid. But that's for another day. But let me play this audio recording for you, and after I play it, I just want to I want you to tell me what's it make you think of?
Hello, my name is, and I was calling because I seen a video broadcast about the discrimination at Highland Community College, and my son was one of those students who was expelled of this school year in 2019. You can contact me at 3.
All right, so when you listen to that, what's that make you think of?
Well, it's making me kind of emotional, just bringing those memories back up. But when I called, all I was thinking of, please don't let this be a hoax. Please, Lord, let this be somebody that can shed some light and help me with this situation.
So you thought that, what do you mean, like a hoax? Like what do you mean?
Like I just felt like it was the answer to my prayers, and I just didn't want to overthink it. I was like, it sounded like he was speaking about my child. Like it wasn't real for me until you contact me back. But I knew it was real because not only did you mention certain situations that pertain to my child, but it was just like, somebody else was witnessing what I was witnessing, but from the other side of the tracks. Because I felt like nobody wanted to listen to me because, I felt like they felt like my son was, oh, he's just a little black kid from an inner city community. What difference is it going to make if we send him back home? But here my son was not only an honor student, but he was excelling on the football field as well every week.
I talked to people at the school, coaches and other people, and they said your kid was a great kid. Like they had such high praise for him. They're like, he's a good kid, and they kicked him out. Like they could not believe that your kid had been kicked out because he was such a good kid. And your story, sadly, is only one of so many. Because you called, and you and I have talked. We've had a lot of phone calls, and we had quite a few early on. But my phone rang for 2.5 weeks after I made that video, almost nonstop. But I want to play another. I'm going to play another audio recording. Now, in my video, I talked about the local police department up there. And this person that called me, the chief of police up there, his name is Brandon. Now, this person, when they left this voicemail, they mentioned that name. So I'm guessing that it's the police chief's mom, but I want you to listen to this message that she left me. And I'll just tell you, I never called her back because I was too busy taking phone calls and talking to victims of this place. But I want you to listen to this and then tell me your thoughts.
Hello, my name is...
Oh, wrong one. Hold on. All right, here we go. Try again.
Yes, I find it interesting that you make statements, but you won't answer your phone. I am Brenda's mother, and I've been trying to call you because I'd like to know what you're basing your decision and your information from. And you got the number.
Okay, so that's the police chief's mom. She left that message on my phone wanting to know what I was basing my video off of. Where did I get my information? I never called her back because I thought it was more important to talk to actual people that had been victims and family members of some of these students. I mean, and I received many phone calls like that from people accusing me of basically just making stuff up, that none of it was true. That you lived through this. You saw your son come home as a broken person. Because when we talked, you said he was different. When he came back, something had changed.
Yeah, it was just like he definitely was not trusting in the system anymore to protect him, for one. He felt like, what now? To be honest, he felt like his hard work and opportunities were missed. My son actually went to school early. He started the summer of 2018, and he had already, he was actually 17 when he started college. He had skipped a grade in middle school, and he was excelling. He was just doing good. So for this to halt all of a sudden, just to come to an abrupt stop, he was upset because he thought about his opportunities of, being offered. Those were interrupted. His initial graduation date that was interrupted, as well as when he went to the new school. I feel like there was prejudgment there based off of his record that was seen.
Because he had been kicked out of another school. Oh.
So they looked at him. They gave him a hard time, and they looked at him as if he was a troublemaker.
Right, because he had something on his record saying he had been expelled from another school. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of repercussions that follow. Like some of the students, and there's still some students right now, that they owe money. They were kicked out. And in my opinion, they were kicked out because of the color of their skin. And then they were sent bills for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. And now they can't even enroll in another school because they can't pay their bill and they can't get their transcripts. And I don't know if you're...
Initially, before he had actually got kicked out, they did take back a scholarship. So we end up getting a loan. And even when he left, I did have to pay some out-of-pocket money. But I did what I had to do because, like you said, he wasn't able to go to another school. He wouldn't have been able to transfer because he still had a bill there.
Right. Yeah. They hold those transcripts for ransom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to, scrape up some money and try to hurry up and get it together. Me and the family tried to do what we had to do to get him to the next school.
You had, didn't you have the church? Was the church helping you raise money?
Yes. Our church has definitely been a support behind because he was an active member and a youth member of the church. So they were very concerned about him.
Yeah. This is a horrible story. It's unbelievable. Like, as I sit here thinking about the time that I spent up there when I was getting all these phone calls, and I could not believe, like, story after story after story. And now I'm reminded of, your kid's story and some of the stuff that he went through. But I remember some of our conversations where it was really bad. And I remember thinking, how in the world can I help these people? Like, what? Like, there has to be something that can be done. But there was really nothing I could do except try to collect all the information and turn it over, which eventually I did. And I've got some other questions I'm going to ask you, and I don't know how much you know of what has happened in the last couple of months, but I'm going to ask you some questions, and hopefully you can answer them, but you don't have to. But one of them is, which I kind of already asked you, what was your initial thoughts after you saw the video? But you've already answered that one, where you knew it was true. And then I'm going to ask you this one. I put a phone number in the video to call, but what prompted you to actually make the phone call?
Because I heard specific things in your story that I knew that was meant for me. Like,
okay.
I feel like God led me to you because there were specific things you said, and it wasn't broad. It was very detailed, and I knew it was about my son. And as a mother, I'm also an advocate for my child, and if I don't fight for him, then who will? Because I felt like we had nobody.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of students up there that nobody fought for them. And it's not because nobody didn't want to. They just couldn't. It's not an easy fight. I'm telling you, even though I'm not connected really to that place up there, it's still a tough fight for me. It's hard to do, but when you live out of state and you don't have the funds to go against this system that's in place up there, it's very hard. It's very hard for parents to be able to do it, and it's really scary. It's really sad and disgusting, actually. But all right, here's my next question. Do you think people should come forward with information like this? Like what happened up there to your kid and others? Do you think that people should come forward? Because there's still people that have not called me about this place that have information. I know there is, because I've called them and they won't return my calls. But do you think people should come forward with information they have, or do you think they should just sweep it under the rug?
Of course, I could say, since the situation happened to my son, yes, but as a whole, as a community, I think they should come forward only because if not my son, then someone else's son or someone else's daughter. And it's like, when is enough enough? And if they feel powerful enough that people won't come forward, then the cycle will continue. But if they feel that people will start to stick together and tell the truth, then they will maybe think twice about doing some of the things that they have done to wrong these children.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. If everybody came forward that has information, this would have been stopped very early on. And the scary thing is, I don't know if you're familiar with, there was a federal lawsuit that was filed. It's been settled out of court. I'll send you a copy of it. I have a copy of the settlement. I'll send it to you if you want it. But the people that were named on that lawsuit, they're still there. They still work at that place. And to me, that's pretty scary. But that's something we can talk about after we're done with the call.
Okay.
Let me see what else. What about, people that have information, because there are some people, I talked to some people that were employees there that had information, but they were scared that if they came forward with information or went on the record that they would be retaliated against, they would lose their job, or they would be harassed by the local police department. What do you say to those people that they might just be on the edge of coming forward, but they're worried that they might lose their job? What do you say to people like that?
I get it, and I understand fear, because no one wants to be out of a job or no one wants to be retaliated against. However, that is still giving the people that have the power to do whatever, because apparently they have enough power to even make these people feel afraid to come forward. And maybe if there was an opportunity for maybe the people to even come forward anonymously and give specific details, then maybe they would be more willing to. But my thing is, if they hold this power, then that cycle continues, and it won't just be against the children, it'll also be against the faculty and the staff. And then one day we won't be reading about college students getting expelled. We'll be reading about the wrongful doing of their faculty and staff.
And that has already happened, by the way. I can tell you that, and I will get into that one of these days, but that has actually happened as well. We're already there. Not only has it happened to the students, but now employees that were there, it's happened to them also. So we're already there. We're past the students. We are already where employees have been retaliated against. We're already there.
So again, reiterating, yes, if no one takes a stand, then they will continue what they're doing, which is wrong.
I agree. They're violating people's rights. It's a clear violation of rights. Fourth Amendment right has been violated up there numerous times, and of course that's my opinion. But what would you What would you like to see happen up there at that place?
Definitely some discrimination training. Um, and I feel like those that are in charge, those who made these actions and accusations, should have to feel the wrath of their decisions. I feel like they should be punished. Not punished in the sense of like chopping their heads off or anything, but
Yeah, they need to be held
like
accountable.
they should be held accountable for their actions. And one of the conversations I had with the individual that's in charge of student affairs,
Eric
was
Gingmeyer.
yes, was about students growing into young adults and learning from their mistakes and making more conscious decisions. But here you guys are the adults, and these are the decisions you made. So yes, I would like to see them. I don't think they should be holding any offices.
They're
at
not,
all.
They're not only they're VPs. They're vice.
Yeah.
I mean, they're VPs of the school. They are in charge.
I have been in education over 20 plus years, and there is no way that even on my level, if I did something this wrong, would I still be an educator?
I know there's not the only time that the only scenarios I see where this kind of thing happens where people get rewarded or nothing happens to them is in law enforcement, where sometimes they'll do something, they actually get promoted for doing something that should not have been done. But in law enforcement, I see it, and there needs to be a big change in that, and there will be a big change in law enforcement in the next couple of years. But this is almost the same thing. These are people that in this lawsuit, which, like I said, I'll send you the settlement, but after the lawsuit, I have to be careful what I say here, but after I've heard from a couple of my sources that one of the defendants in this lawsuit was going around talking about how they were cleared of the lawsuit because it says it was dismissed with prejudice. Now, all that means is that the plaintiffs, the students that sued, all that means is that they can't turn around and sue the defendants again for the same thing. That's all that means. But one of these defendants was going around telling people they had been vindicated and that it was dismissed with prejudice and they did nothing wrong and blah, blah, blah. Well, when I read this,
absolutely not true.
It's not true. That doesn't mean that at all. I mean, the school paid $99,000, and they paid out $99,000. They have to do Fourth Amendment training. They have to do anti-discrimination training and other things. That's hardly being vindicated for any of this stuff. But the problem that I have, these people are still employed there, and in another year or two, they'll get promotions, and the athletic director will be the vice president of whatever. That's what normally happens. But anyway,
and that's my concern as a former parent of that college. That's my concern.
That's my concern too, as a taxpayer. Anyway, how do you think this has affected your kids' future when it comes to college education? Like, how's it changed his outlook on the college system, just the whole higher education system?
I don't think he values it as much. Like he's seen it as, like I said, we've seen it as a way of him, getting out of this community and being successful and achieving something great. And I think it has brought a lot of doubt to his mind, even though he's continued to push forward. But it has also hurt him in the sense that he feel like if the situation hadn't happened, not only would he already be at another school, achieving his bachelor's degree already, but he would also have scholarship opportunities that would have been afforded to him by his talent on the football field.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the things he did enjoy about going to school. And each week he played, like, he only got a chance to play 3 weeks, but each week he was outdoing his record from the week before. Not to mention he was still maintaining good grades.
Right, he was on the honor roll.
So, I mean, it was kind of like...
They took it from him. They took it from him. They took so many opportunities away from him.
And now he feels like he may never have a chance at those opportunities, or it is just that much harder for him.
Right. It is. I mean, it's... I hate to sit here and say, oh, it's all in his mind. He should be able to overcome it. But these are actual things that happen to him that cannot be... He can't get that time back. He can't get those
Absolutely.
games back. He cannot get the exposure back. It's gone. Yeah, it's gone. There's no way for him to get it back. And that's really sad, because it should have never happened in the first place.
I have never, ever witnessed my baby cry. And to see him broken, that broke me.
Yeah, I remember many phone calls with you, and I remember there were times when you would get pretty emotional talking about him crying, that he just wasn't the type that would cry.
No.
Yeah, I remember. It was...
I mean, he was a good kid. I mean, he's a kid, he went off to school. He was, like I said, 17 at the time when the incident happened. He might have just a few months ago had turned 18. So he was just beginning to transition, and this happens.
Right.
And not to mention that we were seeing all kinds of things happen all over the world with this, and for it to happen to him, he really thought, like, why did it happen to me? Why did I have to be the person it happened to? I seen it on TV, I heard about it, but this happened to me.
Why do you think it happened to him? Your opinion. Just your opinion.
To be honest,
yeah,
the color of his skin.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that seemed to have posed a threat. And maybe the way he wore his hair, or I don't know. My son is kind of quiet, for real. And he likes to wear jogging suits with it.
Hold on a second. You think maybe because of the way he wore his hair that would be a problem?
Well, I mean, it has. I know predominantly white colleges and stuff don't like when the African American boys and girls wear things like dreads and Afrocentric hairstyles. And when he first went off, his hair was kind of long and not really long, but he kind of had a curly texture hair, and I twisted his hair up, and I was like, okay, keep your hair like this, because it was kind of easy for him to maintain under his helmet, under his football helmet. And it wasn't until he came home that following year that I cut it off.
All right, let's talk about something here, because I'm part Native American, but if you look at me, people look at me and they think, all right, this is this white guy, and I can grow my hair long, and I can put it in a ponytail. I can keep it short. I can put a hat on. It's very easy for me to do things with my hair. Like if I let it grow long and I put it in a ponytail, it's acceptable in this world that we live in. Now,
Yes.
if your son's hair grows long, what are the hairstyles that he would have? If his hair grew long, what are his options for hairstyles?
Ponytails, braids, the twist that I put in. I actually kind of like the twist on them, but
Right. So there's dreads, there's ponytails, twist, wicks, and afros,
yes.
and some of those, although that would be normal for an African American to have one of those hairstyles, because let's just talk about it. My hair is different than his hair. He cannot do what I can do with my hair. I cannot do with my hair what he can do with his. I wouldn't be able to do twists and things, I don't think, with my hair. It's different. But to have dreads or twist or an afro, that's normal for that would be normal for him.
Yes.
But for whatever reason, that's not acceptable at places, because you probably never heard the audio recordings that I had of the interviews I did with people where they talked about the hairstyles up there and these the powers that be telling these coaches you're not going to be recruiting any more people with dreads or wicks or things. But these are normal hairstyles. Like it's not like he was out putting his hair in a big mohawk, painting it pink and putting curse words on it. It's normal hairstyle for an African American.
Yes.
But when he came back after his first year, you cut his hair short.
Yes.
Did you think at that time that his hair was an issue?
A little bit, but I just, you hear things like, keep yourself presentable, quote unquote, what they call presentable.
What's that mean?
Look professional.
What's that mean?
That means short haircut.
What a joke.
Lined up. Definitely no long hair, no twists, no dreads.
What if dreads are considered presentable? I think they are. I mean, I think. I mean, if I could have dreads, I'd do it. I think they look really nice. Sometimes they do look a little like someone told me dreads can be nappy. But I have a good friend that has dreads down to his waist, and it's a beautiful hairstyle. And it would be presentable in my book. I would think that it would be, but I don't know. I guess I don't understand it, but I haven't gone through this like you or your kid to where because your hair is a certain style, it's not presentable, although I think dreads and twists and all that stuff is normal for an African American. Like that's a normal, presentable hairstyle. So I just don't understand it.
For myself, on one hand, we teach our children, express yourself, and on the next hand, then we turn around and say, oh, this is not acceptable, or it's not acceptable from you, but it's acceptable from you, and then we're told why it is acceptable from this person versus that person, or why it wouldn't be acceptable from this person. I never knew that there were certain hair qualifications in order to get a degree, in order to be a business owner, in order to be successful in life. I didn't think that should have to be a qualification.
I don't think
there
there
are
is.
some that associates
Yes.
certain cultures do, as a threat, I suppose.
Yeah, you're right. There are certain things where some people are threatened by certain hair pieces, and I think it's more ignorance than anything. I think people don't want to learn or understand other cultures, and instead of trying to learn and respect other people, they would just rather be ignorant and feel threatened by something. I I don't know. I can't understand. It's hard for me to understand some of the stuff that I see in this world, and some of the things, some of these stories that I heard about this school.
Hmm.
I could not understand for the life of me what in the world. It was 2020 at the time, and I just could not figure out what in the world was happening. I don't know how many times I would tell people, you are not going to believe what's happening at this place. And then I would play some audio stuff, and they would just look at me like, are you serious? I'm like, no, I'm not kidding. I said, this is just a small part of it. I'm like, I have hours upon hours of audio recordings of things that you just will not believe. And I can't understand how these people who are working for the public, and not only working for the public, but at a higher education facility where tax dollars are being used for the next generation to turn into adults. And these people are so ignorant and scared because people have different hairstyles or different color skin. I don't know. I mean, this stuff really makes me mad because I don't understand how people can be so ignorant, and I'm probably not a good person to do these interviews because
it's definitely, having to deal with this, and just kind of experiencing it maybe outward, your whole life. You're seeing it happen on TV. You're seeing it happen in your neighborhoods. But then it happens in your family, in your home. So then you like, wow, you really blown back because you experienced what the people before you have experienced.
Right. You
on
knew
one
it.
hand, I'm sorry.
No, you knew it existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've known it existed. I grew up on an Indian reservation in a small town. Like, I've known, but I've never understood. But keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's like, on one hand, I was so hurt, and I'm like, Lord, why my kid? But on the other hand, I was like, if not my kid, like if this situation hadn't happened, what would be happening at that college right now? If this situation had never happened to this group of children, to my child, and you never reported about it, what would be going on to the next generation or the other people's kids?
Yeah, I don't even want to.
Like you said, they never had that voice, or maybe was scared to come forward. I know it's people that would be coming out the woodwork if it was not for fear.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And maybe the Department of Justice or the FBI or someone needs to start asking some serious questions with some people, because if I know if certain people are subpoenaed, that they will tell the truth. They have told me, I don't want to go on the record with anything, but if I get subpoenaed, I will tell the truth. I will tell you everything that happened up here, everything that I know. And, I just wish that it wouldn't take people getting subpoenaed to come forward and do what's right, because we're all humans here. Like, I don't care what color skin or hairstyle or whatever someone has. We're all the same. We're all the same. We're all humans.
Exactly.
And I just wish people would, if people came forward, this stuff would have stopped. I guarantee you. Well, I can tell you. I wasn't going to say anything about this, but I had a conversation with a parent that has a student up there right now. And they told me that they've been there 1 year and they're getting them out. They said, I'm getting my kid out of there. Like, he's not going to be there another year. I can only imagine what's still happening up there. You know, for someone to tell me that their kid's there right now, but they don't want to talk to me because they want to get their kid out first.
Yeah.
It's so disturbing. It's horrible. But, well, I thank you for your time. I'm sorry that this happened to you and your kid. This should not have happened to anybody out there. You know, I mean, it happened to more than, you know, the federal lawsuit, there's 4 students. But that's just a small amount of people that I talk to. But I'm really sorry that this happened to you and your family. And before I let you go, is there anything that you want to say, that, you know, if there's anything you want to get out there that, you know, I didn't ask you about?
Well, I just want to reiterate and say that I know it's not easy, but it is my prayer that anyone that has any information that will help stop people being in these positions, abusing their power, because if we don't stick together, if we don't come forward, then they will continue to abuse their power. And if not your child, then it's going to be someone else's child. And like I said, you know, with the faculty, if not you, it's going to be a coworker. And if not that coworker, then it might be somebody related to you. It's something personal. I think as a community, sometimes we don't feel things until it hits home. But we don't want that to happen. We need to be proactive. We need to get out here and be that voice and be that advocate.
Yeah, I agree. And I think right now is probably the best time to come forward because there's a lot going on. I mean, there's a lawsuit that was just settled, and if someone came forward with information and they were let go, I think it'd be really easy to prove retaliation for a lawsuit. And as long as the people are still there that caused all this, it's going to continue to happen, and the lawsuits are going to keep coming, and the taxpayers are the ones that pay. You know, the taxpayers, these people that were, you know, the school, actually I need to look to find out actually if the school had insurance to cover this and where the $99,000 came from, who paid it. But if the people that were sued did not pay it, then they haven't been punished at all, except, you know, they had to go to court. They had to do a deposition, maybe. I don't even know if they did depositions. That's something I don't even know. I have no idea. But since it was settled, we'll never know, probably. But, well, I thank you for your time, and I'm sorry you guys went through this, and I hope everything turns out good, and let's stay in touch, and let me know when your kid graduates college, and I will go attend his graduation.
It will be this semester.
It will be already?
Yes. He would have graduated last May, but it'll be this May.
Okay. Well, then I guess I need to go. I make sure you let me know when and where, and I'll be there.
Absolutely.
All right.
And
you
I
take
appreciate
care.
it.
All right.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm telling you, this stuff makes me so mad. If y'all only knew how mad I was right now. This stuff is sickening. It's disgusting. To have a parent of a kid that has grown up in a neighborhood. If you guys have never been to a neighborhood where people are killed every day, you don't understand what getting out of those neighborhoods is like. If you're up around the Kansas City area, if If you ever drive through Kansas City, go to 11th and Quindaro and hang out there for 3 or 4 hours. Go to 11th and Quindaro, hang out, or call 911 and see if the cops come there. See if the cops will even show up to help you. Or go to like 51st and Troost over on the Kansas City, Missouri side. Go between Paseo and Troost around 51st Street. Hang out over there for a couple of hours. See how you like it. And then think that you had to grow up there. And then you finally got a chance to get out of that environment and you go to a college where you're on the honor roll and you're a good student, you're not doing anything wrong, and then because the color of your skin, you get sent back to the war zone. Not only do you get sent back, but your transcripts are held hostage. So you can't even go enroll someplace else. If you can't raise $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, your college education is done right there. Done. That's it. It's happening. This is not 1960s. It's happening. It happened last year at this place we're talking about. I will publish the settlement. I'm going to go over the settlement, which the settlement, they made these kids sign a non-disclosure basically saying that they can't talk about it. Well, I didn't sign one, so I'm going to talk about it. The parents haven't signed one. None of the parents of any of these kids have signed anything, so I'm going to have the parents talk about it. If the kids can't talk about it, which we've had some of them. We had Joseph Cambridge, your quarterback for the football team, came on here and he talked about it. And I got others that will. But I don't want them to in case they decide to file a lawsuit. I would rather them not. But I did want Joseph Cambridge's story out here because it's horrible what happened to him. But I'm going to get parents. I'm going to do interviews with these parents. I've already done some before. I'm not publishing them. I'm waiting until these settlement checks are sent out. Once I get notification that the settlement checks have been sent out and these kids have their money, then I'm going to start publishing this. So if you see this, it's been sent. These kids have the money in their pocket, the ones that filed the federal lawsuit. Not near enough for what happened to them, though. Anyway, if you have information about Highland Community College in Highland, Kansas, if you want to come forward with information, you can remain anonymous. You can email me at ripperjackmedia@gmail.com. If you have information, like for example, if you've walked by the office of the athletic director at Highland Community College and you've smelled marijuana, strong odors of marijuana, call me and tell me about it. You wouldn't be the first. You know, if you have information, if you went to school there and you feel like you were victimized, or if you're a parent and you had a child there that was expelled, kicked out of school, if they're there now and you feel like they're being discriminated against, call me or email me. Let's talk about it. Let's make this place legit. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. I know this is a long interview, but these kind of things are important, and this stuff needs to be known. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace that we're even talking about something like this. This is I just cannot believe we live in a day and age where we have people being discriminated against because of the color of their skin at a public college, at a higher education institute. And the people that caused it are still there. The people that were sued, they're still there. The people that I was told put these things in place to have these people removed are still there. They're still employed there. They're still making money off of tax dollars. You want to talk about some stupid ass shit? That's some stupid ass shit right there. And I'm sure old Bubba will get his Twitter account going, but guess what? I don't want to say anything else. We'll let Bubba go down in flames. All right, everybody. I'm Ripper, and I'm out.